4 a.m. here on the East Coast. Hanoi, here we come. President Trump heads to Vietnam today as he prepares for a second summit with Kim Jong-un. What we can expect from the historic sit-down.
There is no host tonight. There won't be a popular movie category, and Mexico is not paying for the wall.
Awards with a side of politics. The Oscars wasting no time bashing the president during Hollywood's big night. Plus, a look at who took home the hardware.
You waving at him? That's nice. Hi, Grandpa. Love you.
And presidential parenting. Baby Luke Trump's adorable reaction when he sees his grandfather on TV. Fox and Friends First starts right now. A little Rolling Stones to get you rolling on this new week. You're watching Fox and Friends First on this Monday morning. I'm Heather Childers, and thank you, as always, for starting your day and your week with us. In just hours, President Trump taking off for a second summit with North Korea's Kim Jong-un. The latest round of denuclearization talks in Vietnam begin on Wednesday. Griff Jenkins is live for us in Washington with a preview. Good morning, Griff.
Good morning, Heather. A big week. The president departs with hopes of furthering denuclearization talks, but there's no shortage of naysayers here at home. Senate Democrats expressing concern in a letter signed by Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and members of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. They write, the Singapore meeting gave Kim legitimacy and acceptance on the global stage while effectively undermining our policy of maximum pressure and sanctions. But the president shot back last night.
We've given up nothing. The sanctions are on, everything's on, but we have a special feeling. I'm not pushing for speed, but we're not removing the sanctions.
Now, Heather, senior administration officials tell Fox News the goal in Vietnam is to build upon the 4 pillars agreed to in June in Singapore last year. And those are the establishment of new relations for peace and prosperity, a lasting and stable peace regime on the Korean Peninsula, complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, and recovering POW MIA remains. Now, notably, that most important pillar, denuclearization, clearly has not occurred. And there's a lot of pressure this time to demonstrate that there are some gains at this summit, but Secretary of State Pompeo, who is already en route, you see there, notes that it will take time, beginning with undoing previous policies.
The previous administration's policy, right, which was test, allow the North Koreans to test, pray they'd stop, and then cower when they threatened us, right? Test, pray, and cower has been upended by President Trump.
Now, the president addresses the nation's governors this morning, then departs shortly after noon for Hanoi. Heather?
All right. Griff Jenkins live for us. We'll, of course, follow all of the action as it happens. Thank you. Well, Democrats are now under fire, though, for their premature criticism of the summit. Fox News contributor Tammy Bruce says Democrats fear President Trump succeeding with North Korea because it will only showcase their mistakes.
The other crime that President Trump is committing is through his success is he's highlighting how everyone else has failed. That's what, of course, the Democrats have always been afraid of from the start, is that if he is successful, that's why they have to deny the success, because then they would have to explain why they didn't get it. So this is an example of that. And clearly, his approach when it came to, saying, we're going to start war, or we're going to have to stop you this way, it's all part of the package of negotiating. But what I think the president's also been trying to do is trying to kind of pull Kim Jong-un away from China, believing perhaps that America could be a better bet that it could trust. Because right now, really, they can't do anything without China's approval.
For special coverage of the summit, Fox and Friends First will be on at 3 a.m. Wednesday and Thursday. Well, Vice President Pence boarding Air Force Two just moments ago. He's on his way to Colombia to meet with Venezuela's opposition leader Juan Guaido over the country's humanitarian crisis. Probe isn't made public. The special counsel's investigation is expected to wrap up soon. The question now, though, when will we see the report? How much of that report will we see? Also, Todd Pyra joins us live with some perspective. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Heather. Those are the questions after D.C. was abuzz that the report on possible Russian collusion would come out last week. That speculation debunked with a timeline of the next few weeks as most likely, but really no one able to pinpoint an exact date. But that didn't stop House Intel Committee Chair Adam Schiff from threatening to bring the special counsel in front of Congress to testify and threatening to sue the Trump administration if he isn't happy with how much Attorney General Bill Barr discloses to the public.
We will obviously subpoena the report. We will bring Bob Mueller in to testify before Congress. We will take it to court if necessary. We are going to share this information with the public. And if the president is serious about all of his claims of exoneration, then he should welcome the publication of this report.
In response, the president tweeting the only collusion with the Russians was with crooked Hillary Clinton and the Democratic National Committee. And where's the server that the DNC refused to give to the FBI? Where are the new texts between Agent Lisa Page and her agent lover, Peter S.? We want them now. Senator Lindsey Graham adding that it's time to wrap this up.
If there is no evidence of collusion between the Trump campaign and the Russian intelligence community, then that should be the end of all this. If the Democrats keep pushing this, it's going to blow up in their face in 2020.
Justice Department regulations require the special counsel provide the AG with a confidential report. However, Heather, legal experts not in agreement on how circuitous the route is for making this report public and, of course, how much is redacted.
I have a feeling a lot will be redacted if it is as it has been in the past. Thank you so much, Todd.
No problem.
And then there's this. Prosecutors could issue an arrest warrant for Robert Kraft as soon as today. The New England Patriots owner facing 2 charges for soliciting sex at a spa in Jupiter, Florida. Police claim to have video evidence of Kraft paying prostitutes. It was all part of a sting that netted dozens of arrests. If guilty, the billionaire businessman could face up to a year in jail. Kraft denies engaging in any illegal activity. And disgraced music star R. Kelly could walk free on $1 million bond today. Kelly expected in court later this morning after failing to make bail and spending the weekend behind bars in Chicago. The singer is charged with sexually abusing 4 women, including 3 minors, going back to 1998. R. Kelly has repeatedly denied similar allegations over the years. Man, it's windy here in New York City, and powerful winds apparently all across the Northeast, up to 50 miles an hour. A dangerous storm slammed the Midwest and the South as well. In Wisconsin, take a look at this. 1 person was killed, several left injured in this 100-vehicle pileup in whiteout conditions there. And then in Minnesota, under a state of emergency, as the National Guard braved blizzard conditions to help stranded drivers. Further south, Mississippi, cleaning up from tornadoes over the weekend. At least 1 person was killed there. You know, the flu, it is no match for this NASCAR superstar, Brad Keselowski, fighting through his illness to win big at the Folds of Honor Quick Trip 500.
There have been 4 last lap passes in Atlanta. Turn 4. For the final time, Brad Keselowski is going to win the Folds of Honor Quick Trip 500.
The Team Penske driver grabbing his 28th career win at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Keselowski says he needed 2 IVs before the race, but he wouldn't let anything get in the way of racing. And he won. Good job. Well, music sensation Queen kicking off the 91st Academy Awards in Hollywood. The star-studded night packed with big moments and big winners, including Lady Gaga scoring her first Oscar with Best Original Song, Shallow, from A Star Is Born. Oh, it's a great song. Well, Rami Malek and Olivia Colman getting top nods for acting. Malek winning Best Actor for his role in Bohemian Rhapsody. Colman taking home Best Actress for The Favorite. And the night's biggest award, Best Picture, going to Green Book. That was one of 3 awards that film took home. Meanwhile, the hostless award show still finding ways to take some jabs at President Trump.
So just a quick update for everybody in case you're confused. There is no host tonight. There won't be a popular movie category, and Mexico is not paying for the wall.
The 2020 presidential election is around the corner. Make the moral choice between love versus hate. Let's do the right thing. You know I had to get that in there.
Yeah. This was the second time in decades that the Oscars went on without a host. And lots of people said it wasn't missed. Well, the time now is almost about, 15 minutes after the top of the hour. President Trump heading to Vietnam in just a few hours for a second summit with Kim Jong-un. Is denuclearization really possible? Gordon Chang says only if the president amps up pressure on 3 other key countries. And he joins us live to explain. And do you remember the barber giving out free Trump and Kim Jong-un haircuts for the summit? Our own Ed Henry went there for a visit to find out why people made the cut. Stay with us. Well, welcome back. In just hours, President Trump will leave for his second summit with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. The president touting their relationship.
We see eye to eye, I believe. But you'll be seeing it more and more over the next couple of days, one way or the other. What's going to happen, I can't tell you. And I'm not in a rush. I don't want to rush anybody. I just don't want testing. As long as there's no testing, we're happy.
So what should we expect? Joining me now with his expert insight is author of Nuclear Showdown and Asia analyst Gordon Chang. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Appreciate it.
Oh, thanks so much, Heather.
So we've been following this with you from the very first summit. What can we expect this time?
I think we can expect the North Koreans to stall. They've been very good at it. You know, President Trump is trying to create this favorable atmosphere where they feel secure enough to give up their weapons. So I don't expect the United States to say anything unfriendly towards the North Koreans. And I think that we'll see a continuation of American policy. I don't think that's a good thing, but nonetheless, I think that we will have some very friendly words from President Trump.
Should we trust North Korea?
Oh, absolutely not. And we shouldn't trust South Korea either. Just a day or so ago, Moon Chung-in, who's a special advisor to the South Korean president, said, look, the North Koreans should be trusted to dismantle their arsenal without international inspectors. Well, I think that that's just ludicrous. But that's what the South Koreans want.
So how do we handle that in terms of South Korea? We can actually bring some of that up in terms of petroleum products that were sent to North Korea. If you take a look at the numbers, just in 2018, 342.9 tons of petroleum products. There it is.
Yeah, what we should be doing, I think, is calling out Moon Jae-in in public. He's already unpopular in South Korea, largely because of a very poor economy. And so he is politically vulnerable. And I think that's the way we go at him. You know, there are a lot of things, of course, we could do, but he is an ally. And so, therefore, we've got to treat him a little bit more gingerly than we would China, Russia, or North Korea. But nonetheless, we got to make it very clear that we're unhappy with what he's been doing.
What about China? Since we just had the announcement yesterday that the president is delaying the tariffs, they were supposed to go into effect, March 1st. He's delaying that now. Does that have something to do with what's going on here?
Yeah, I think so. Xi Jinping, the Chinese ruler, has been trying to dangle the cooperation on North Korea in return for concessions on trade. And it looks like President Trump is giving Xi Jinping one more chance. Remember, all throughout 2017, President Trump was trying to bring the Chinese on board to help, and the Chinese were not very helpful. At this particular time, there's going to be a lot of developments on trade and North Korea. So obviously the Chinese are trying back to this old stratagem. One more thing, Heather, we got to remember that over the course of 2 decades, the Chinese have tried this, and they've not really helped us on North Korea.
Yeah, it is really interesting how it all interconnects, and we'll see what happens this week. Gordon, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Heather.
All right. Well, the time now is about 18 minutes after the top of the hour, and the Oscars getting political right from the very start.
There is no host tonight. There won't be a popular movie category, and Mexico is not paying for the wall.
And that was just the beginning. Carly Shimkus is here with the political moments taking center stage on social media. So it wouldn't be Hollywood's biggest night without some political jabs, and the 91st Academy Awards last night delivered.
Just Just a quick update for everybody in case you're confused. There is no host tonight. There won't be a popular movie category, and Mexico is not paying for the wall.
The 2020 presidential election is around the corner. Let's all mobilize. Let's all be on the right side of history. Make the moral choice between love versus hate.
Carly Shimkuth was Fox News Headlines. 24/7 Sirius XM 115 is here with reaction. Good morning.
It got political.
Yeah, of course
Wouldn't
it did.
you know it?
Yeah.
So there were some more obvious political moments courtesy of Spike Lee, and then some more subtle ones, like the introduction of the movie Vice was a pretty unflattering depiction of Dick Cheney. So if you are a Democrat, if you're a liberal, you're A-OK with this. If you're a conservative, you're going to get reaction like this. Conservative commentator Charlie Kirk says the Oscars, the annual gathering of movie star millionaires to complain about how oppressed they are under Donald Trump. Rudy Giuliani very vocal about the Oscars, tweeting, "Bob Hope made us laugh by laughing at Hollywood and laughing at himself. The modern Oscar show is marred every year by very little comedy and a lot of pontification and bloviating, all in service of limousine liberals." And then another Twitter user chiming in saying, "The Oscars? You mean the political movement where movies win Oscars that don't deserve them and the movies that do get left in the dust." I do think that award shows overall are trying to make a greater effort not to get political, but this was their biggest night, so I guess they couldn't help themselves.
Bloviating, I think that's a very good word. I like that one.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's talk about Chris Evans, though. A gentleman on Oscars.
That's right. So there were, of course, some lighthearted moments as well, and social media was swooning at Captain America star Chris Evans after he helped Regina King onto the stage. She almost tripped on her dress right there. So then, he walked her up to the stage. Very good of him. Amy tweets, "Chivalry isn't dead." Amanda says, "Because he's a gentleman and someone raised him right." Loved this moment. And Jasmine says, "He's Captain America after all." So some of those subtle moments during the award show go viral as well. That one was a cute one. I noticed that as well.
I loved her gown.
Oh, she looked beautiful. Yeah, she was one of my favorites.
Wouldn't want to rip that, for sure.
No, not at all.
Now, Kevin Hart sending a message to all the fans.
Right. So, of course, he was supposed to host the award show. So what did he do during the Academy Awards? Well, right as it was starting, he posted a video of him that showed him punching a punching bag, and ABC, the channel
there's a message.
The channel that aired the Oscars was not so subtly on in the background. So one Instagram user says, "Well done, Hart. Stick to your guns. Never compromise or allow them to squeeze you into their mold." Georgette said, "Good for you, Kevin. Keep moving forward." And another person on Instagram says, "I think the Oscars needs Kevin Hart more than Kevin Hart needs the Oscars." So a lot of people are reading into that going, oh, maybe he's getting some pent-up aggression out as to how the whole thing with him and the Oscars went down.
Good for him, though.
Yeah. I mean, he's working out. He's a fit guy.
And I agree with that statement. The Oscars needed him more than he needs the Oscars.
Although I do have to say, I thought that the opening number with Queen was amazing.
Yeah, it was good. Definitely. I always love the music. That's my favorite part.
That's
we were just discussing, I tried to stay up long enough to see Lady Gaga.
She was on so late in the night, but it was fantastic.
I watched
So there were some very good moments during the Oscars. I promise.
Thank you so much, Carly. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Well, the time now is about 25 minutes after the top of the hour. And Congressman Adam Schiff making a big claim about the Russia probe.
George, there's ample evidence of collusion of the campaign, and it's very much in the public record.
So why isn't the media pushing back on those unfounded claims? We'll debate that up next. And playing defense, why the head coach of Ole Miss is standing by his players who just kneeled during the national anthem. Trump leaves for Vietnam, the site of a second summit with North Korea's Kim Jong-un. The White House hoping to produce a, quote, substantive step forward in denuclearization talks. Senate Democrats are demanding the president produce verifiable progress. And Vice President Pence meeting Venezuela's opposition leader, Juan Guaido, in Colombia today amid the humanitarian crisis. U.S. aid is being blocked at the border there by disputed Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. At least 2 people have been killed in violent protest. And Congressman Adam Schiff says he's willing to sue the DOJ if Robert Mueller's Russia probe is not released publicly. The California Democrat is also threatening to subpoena Mueller to force him to testify before Congress.
Do you have any evidence at all that the president colluded?
George, there's ample evidence of collusion of the campaign, and it's very much in the public record. But to not see what is plainly in front of us means you basically don't want to see the evidence of collusion because it is quite abundant.
Congressman Schiff, thanks for your time this morning.
So why is the media allowing Democrats like Schiff to go unchecked on these collusion claims? Here now to debate is conservative radio talk show host Shondell Summer and Democratic political analyst Kelly Hyman. Thank you both for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So, Shondell, I will start with you. You just heard what Adam Schiff had to say. He's arguing that people don't want to see the collusion, but is he going too far the other way where he sees nothing but collusion no matter what these reports seem to say?
Of course he's going too far the other way. There is no evidence of collusion. If there was evidence of collusion, the Senate committee would have found it, the House committee would have found it, and Investigator Mueller has done a very thorough job, but there's been no indictments which suggest any collusion. This is just a witch hunt, and it's something that should come to a conclusion soon so that we don't continue to waste more money on this process.
Kelly, in reference to the Senate Intelligence Committee and their report specifically, because we know what their result was, Senator Richard Burr said that they interviewed more than 200 witnesses from multiple countries. They reviewed over 300,000 pages and found no collusion.
I believe the American people have a right to know, and the report should be made public. I think that the only way we're going to get to the bottom of this and know the truth if the report is not redacted and the public have the right to know and see the full report and read it for themselves and find out what exactly happened.
So let me ask you this. If the full report is released and the full report from Robert Mueller says no collusion, is that good enough for you? Because it seems like it's not going to be good enough for Adam Schiff.
Well, once the report is released, and if it's fully, and if that's what they make a determination, and they say that there is no collusion, then that's what the reports and that's what they find.
So you think we should move on from there?
I think we should look at the report and see first what the report exactly says, and then once we have the report, to figure out what there is, and if there was collusion or there wasn't collusion. We just don't know yet.
Shondell?
We need to have the report.
Okay. All right. Shondell, what do you think? I mean, do you think that Adam Schiff will just continue to go after this no matter what the report says?
Of course. And the whole battleground now is going to shift from what the report says, which quite frankly is likely to say there's no collusion, to they didn't release enough of the report. They're not releasing portions of the report. So we're going to have another couple of years probably of legal challenges to how much of the report has to be released. The president can claim executive privilege and not release the report. He can also classify the report, which a lot of experts are claiming would be his best move here, to classify it, because that really can't be challenged.
But if there's nothing to hide, then why wouldn't he release the report?
The problem is that when you are doing a Justice Department investigation, oftentimes there is evidence which may be damaging or derogatory, and we're talking about a sitting president. There may be unflattering details that don't necessarily need to be released, and that is within Attorney General William Barr's prerogative to determine what should be released and what shouldn't be released. He's already said he's going to release as much of it as he can.
Yes, but the American public have a right to know.
But does the American public,
Kelly,
but does the American public have a right to know above and beyond the safety of America and keeping us safe? I mean, if it's something that should not be released and it should be redacted in terms of keeping either ourselves or our allies, some of that information private, shouldn't that be the case?
Well, I don't know what exactly the report says, but I think it's important that the American public, in order for them to make an accurate determination of what the actual facts are, is for them to have the full report.
Shondell, you get the final word.
They don't need to have the full report. The only thing they need to know is whether or not Russians interfered in the election with the aid of President Trump or his campaign officials. That was the reason why the investigation started in the first place. We need to bring it to a conclusion, and they need a definitive answer to that question only.
All right. Well, we will see what happens when it is released. We originally thought it would be released this week, but now being told that that will not be the case. Shondell and Kelly, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, President Trump announcing substantial progress in trade talks with China. The president says that he's delaying a planned tariff hike that was supposed to take effect on Friday.
We're doing very well with China, and if all works well, we're going to have some very big news over the next week or two. And then we put ourselves into a position of strength for the first time in about 35 years, or probably a lot more than that.
President Trump also announcing a new summit with China's president at Mar-a-Lago to finalize the deal. No date has been set. Well, Virginia's lieutenant governor facing sexual assault allegations compares calls for his resignation to lynchings.
If we go backwards and we rush to judgment and we allow for political lynchings without any due process, any facts, any evidence being heard, then I think we do a disservice to this very body in which we all serve.
Justin Fairfax speaking to lawmakers in Richmond, condemning quick judgment and calls for him to step down. He says that he will fight to stay in office. 2 women have recently come forward accusing Fairfax of sexual assault and rape. He denies the allegations. Well, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo making it clear the Alabama woman who left the U.S. to join ISIS cannot return.
She's a non-citizen terrorist. She has no legal basis for a claim of U.S. citizenship. She's not coming back to the United States.
Well, Hoda Muthana is pleading with the U.S. to let her come back, and her son, her toddler son. Her father is suing the Trump administration, saying that she is an American citizen and should be allowed to return. There are questions over Muthana's